Live.
Hello, Army. We are live. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, everyone. Whew. It is episode 2 of Living Punked on 7. I cannot believe that we made it to our second episode. It's been such a crazy 2 weeks, hasn't it?
It has definitely been a crazy 2 weeks,
It's been
especially
a
with
crazy.
Indigo. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's been an emotional 2 weeks.
Yes, definitely. Emotional is a great way to put it.
How we doing, Army? How's everyone feeling? I know that that's a crazy thing to ask because everyone's feeling a lot of things at this moment, which Jackie and I are feeling as well. So why don't we just go ahead and start with our introductions? I am Nisha and T-Motion, and I am the CEO of Diversity Geek and also CEO of Living Punk on 7, which is an organization that we created to be able to support the mental wellness and self-care and the wellness journey of Army across the globe. And as everyone knows, I am a self-care specialist and a mental health specialist, and I am a board-certified family practice nurse practitioner working in neurology and psychiatry. Woohoo! That's me in a nutshell. And this is and I do Bangtan research too, but yay, we can always talk about that later. Hi Mary, thank you. I like your picture. Mary Cruz is back on with us today. And this is our lovely co-host, and Jackie.
Hello, everybody. I'm just an Army, just like you guys, that loves the boys and here to talk more about them. Glad to see you guys again.
Yeah. Emotional moments, man. It's something. We are actually live, just to let you know, on 6 different sites at the moment. So we were able to from our last show to be able to connect things a little correctly. So off of the top, I just want to let everyone know that yes, we can chat with you directly. Whoops.
Hi, Mary.
Sorry, guys, as you can see. So we can check with you directly on the YouTube, on the Facebook. It's a little bit different with the Twitter, so we have that open, and Jackie will be keeping track there if anyone has any questions. But you heard me live on YouTube, so we know it's working. Yeah, huzzah! We figured it out.
Be tricky.
It's been fun. So I apologize. Last week was just, there was a lot going on with Witchin's, obviously his enlistment, and we wanted to just be more cognizant of the fact that at that moment Army really just needed to have that type of conversation. So we switched our Sunday event to a Monday event where I did a live Twitter space. We actually had quite a few attendees for that, and we had our co-host Angela Dillon, and that we just had an amazing discussion. So good, and we had a lot of feedback and comments and discussion back and forth within the chat. So we're going to be doing those as well as these regular live shows. The live shows are going to be a little bit longer. The Twitter Spaces will be smaller, probably anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, smaller subjects. And we're taking recommendations. So find us on any of the social media sites, which Jackie's going to put up for you how to find us all over the place, because you can find us all over the place now. And then, that is a beautiful picture.
Beautiful man.
I mean, if you want to put it up, I'm just saying. So these are all of the ways that you can find us. Living Punked on 7 is on Twitter. Living Punked on 7 is on YouTube. Living Punked on 7 is in Tumblr. We're just getting that up and running. What else are we? But we are called the Punked on Philosophy on Facebook. So that's a little bit of a different name. Because I wasn't able to get the other one for some strange reason. And then on Instagram, we're also Living Punked on 7. But right now, we cannot connect the show live to Instagram, but one day we will. However, we will be hosting like Twitter Spaces. It'll be Instagram Spaces and discussions as well as we move forward. So any one of those sites, find us and send us a recommendation of a topic in mental wellness, self-care, self-acceptance, any of the messages of Hangtan, the SDGs that you would like us to talk about. So, wow. What are we talking about today? What are we doing? What's today's show about, my dear?
Indigo. We're going to be discussing, let's see, Indigo. Everything about Indigo. Ooh, I just lost my notes. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. We will have one or two guests, hopefully, who will be coming on through the show. We're a rolling group here. We're people from all over the globe, actually, and depending on their timelines and work schedules, people do will jump onto the show who've been working on the projects with us. So, in case you see someone jump in, it's simply because it's someone who's coming from work, etc. And I am hoping that we're still going to have two more people join us. So, Borahae Army, and welcome to episode 2 of Living Bangtan 7. And as you know, Living Bangtan 7 is a new site that we created and we just discussed, and it's a medium for the DG or Diversely Geek team to be able to bring you wellness discussions, content, and musings specific to the bulletproof philosophy. It means the ability to live confidently in yourself and accepting of who you are as a human being and carry that confidence and acceptance with you throughout your day. The name means living bulletproof 24/7. And our purpose is to help us all learn how to live confidently with self-love throughout the day. And so we have a couple goals for today's show. We will always give you goals for the show because we want to make sure that we're, meeting expectations so that we're helping you to maybe understand something in a very specific mental health wheelhouse and how the subject we're talking about is being discussed. So that's why we come up with the goals, so it helps Army who's listening to us to know where our focus is. So Jackie, did you want to maybe go over those goals with everyone?
Yes. So today we're going to highlight and celebrate the work and the cultural phenomenon that Indigo is quickly becoming. We're going to embrace the concept of self-reflection. If Namjoon, I think, triggers anything in all of us is that moment of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to appreciate the masterful way that Namjoon has fit each of these tracks together because truly it listens like a story that he's telling. It's puzzle pieces to create brilliant images of his truth. Then lastly, we're going to encourage fans to stream all the tracks of Indigo and the beautiful music video that is Wildflower, as
Yeah.
well as all the other films that he's come out with.
Yeah, and Still Life, and then we have the two shorts, Hectic, and I think the other one was a Change Part 2. I don't know why. I mean, I love Change Part 2.
Dropped. So
and then all of the making of films, of which there are so many, but I feel that we've really been treated as if we are luxuriously. Between TA and this, it's just a luxury what we've been receiving. So I want to thank Jackie so much for being here as my absolutely amazing partner, to be able to speak to you as OG Army, but as Army, and with this absolute mutual love for Bangtan and of course for Army and the closeness that we have and how we're inspired to be here. And so I want to look at Indigo from a raw presentation of self and as an honest reflection on personal growth, mistakes, and the inner discourse as Namjoon figures out who he is, who he could be or shouldn't be. And maybe sometimes we don't think about the fact that in these conversations, especially with the rawness of these lyrics, he's also telling us who he's decided he shouldn't be. And I really love that concept, especially Yoon, which we're not talking about today because we have to choose 3 songs, because we can only discuss so many in a short time. But one of the things our team said is that we think this is such a relevant conversation for today's youth, but it's also just as critical across generations to help close gaps and spark cross-sectional narratives. So, what we mean by that is that what these 10 tracks have done, when Indigo is done, it's actually bringing us together across gender gaps, generational gaps, to have conversations on the in a way that is extremely unified, if that makes sense. So yes, absolutely. So why don't we go ahead and go into the next thing? I think, Jackie, can we talk about what we're going to go over on the show today?
Let's see. Are we doing our purposes, our goals?
Yeah.
Sorry, my notes are a little bit all over the place today. Guys.
It's okay, girl. It's okay. This is a very live kind of conversation. This is about us being able to be very open and have conversations with Army too. So if you have any questions, let me know as we go through. And I'm going to let our other guests on. Just hang on for me.
And I'm going to go ahead and just read through our little 4 core goals that we have going on.
Yes, please.
So we're going to discuss the therapeutic medium and benefits of embracing our favorite fandom and the healing message that are our beautiful 7 wonders of the world, Bangtan Sonyeondan. We're also going to bring awareness to and guide fans forward through self-value and self-love through BTS, their music and their words, because if they do anything, it's inspire us in everyday life in different ways. And then we're going to honor the Love Myself campaign goals set in place 5 whole years ago by BTS. And we're going to do our best to share our mutual love for our boys and, of course, for ourselves. Very important. Love
Very
yourself.
important. Yeah. Yeah. The concept of being able to love ourselves is everything. It really is. So let's talk a little bit about why we I'm sorry, it's just that Indigo can tend to get me very overwhelmed. Let me just
and that.
and I think that maybe everyone else is probably understanding this. There are moments where there's so many thoughts at one time when it comes to this concept of Indigo, that I even have a hard time pulling them all together. And I think that that's okay. When Namjoon created the concept of Flower Works in 2015, when he said that in the interview, and I understood the concept of taking the flower petals and the flowers and throwing them in the air and watching them fall like fireworks, and they become flower works. And in that individual moment, it's that you're grabbing this sense of beauty that you can see. And how he is saying that Bangtan and their beauty is what we're seeing when we have fireworks. But then those flower works is that individual beauty. And I actually have been carrying that concept with me a lot in terms of understanding my own perspective of who I am, I guess. And in terms of what is it that we can do, or what is Namjoon doing to help to inspire us to move forward. So let's just go ahead. Oh, let's tell them what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be doing the conversations and the discussions, and we're actually parsing it out into 2 separate pieces, right? The first conversation, we're actually going to deep dive straight into the behind sketch, because that was so absolutely beautiful. But for me, also the Zach Sang Amp interview, I think was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard.
I love interviews. Zach always does such a great job of asking legitimate questions, if that makes sense. Things that actually we want to know about. We all hate those interviews that are like, who are you going to collab with? No, talk to the artist. Like Namjoon, he sat there, he asked him questions about, oh, when you wrote this, how were you feeling? When did you first write this? What was it like working with like all these other artists? Which Namjoon did such a great job of taking us through each individual track.
Yeah, I absolutely adored it. I thought that this was probably I'm going to say my fave. And so we're going to actually deep dive in that conversation. And we're going to go ahead and add Angela. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing an image, but here we go. And welcome, Angela. Thank you so much for joining us today. And when you're ready, you go ahead and unmute. I see you there. We are going to go into our conversation on Zach Sang. Let's go ahead and jump into that right away. I have to tell you, if it was up to me, I'd probably talk about that interview the entire hour. But we're I could talk about Indigo for.
There's so much to talk about with Indigo, honestly.
And I'd still not get done with it. So we're going to be also doing a really quick how well do you know Indigo quiz, and then I'm going to be doing a live unboxing. So I have this. I have
Lots of goodies today.
this, and I should tell you how many of these I have. But if you
I
notice,
have so many of those too.
and then I actually have the exclusive. So I was like, I think we should probably open the exclusive. But I can't tell you. You should see how many I have because I got exclusives from everywhere. So, okay, so we're going to be just showing you a little bit of Namjoon images because Namjoon. I mean, you're not here to see me. You're here to see Namjoon. So
Namjoon is the explanation.
So we're going to actually after this conversation, then we're going to be talking about 3 songs. One is Still Life, one is Wildflower, and the other one is All Day. We did an internal poll to choose All Day. And I think as we go through, you'll understand why we chose that. But if you're listening to us today, what song would you have chosen for us to discuss? Because we can always do this at in a future show. And while we're chatting today, why don't you go ahead and cue for yourself the Zach Sang interview, so that you can also go and follow along with it in the future, okay? Because I think that's I think sometimes when you go back, you hopefully this is the right one. I think that should be it. So I think I loaded it for you there, guys. Okay, so what we're gonna really quickly jump in. Zach Sang, as you said, oh my God, their discussion was just intimate, personal, and raw.
Mm-hmm. I felt like I was an outsider in a conversation that I didn't belong for a minute because it really felt like you were like they're talking amongst friends, like the conversations we need to tend to have whenever we get overwhelmed with Bangkok. That's what that interview felt like.
Yes, it did.
A conversation I'm not supposed to be hearing, but I'm honored to listen to anyway.
It did. It had that sense of personalization, and Namjoon said that of course Zach was one of the people that he wanted to have that conversation with, and so Zach really went emotionally open in terms of saying, "Hey, Namjoon, you're sharing this personal understanding of who you are. You're sharing this self-awareness and this reflection. Did you have a purpose for it, or did you have a plan?" And Namjoon's like, "I have a purpose, but I didn't have a plan. I just let the pieces of the puzzle come together."
I love how he asked him about the album, because I think at some point, I don't remember it verbatim, but I know he asked him about like there was a specific musician who says that like God comes to him or the universe.
Oh yeah, about the universe,
have a higher power. And he asked Namjoon about it, and he was like, "I'm not sure. I just know that I wake up, I open my eyes, and boom." There it is. There's the inspiration. Suddenly I got what I needed. He's like, "I don't know if that's a higher power or what it is. I just know that."
I love the concept that he's open to that. Angela, you were going to say something?
No, I was just thinking also, I liked where he really was asking him about some of the lyrics that he wrote, because when you start to read the lyrics, he's an unbelievable, and the words that he puts together.
He's a wordsmith.
Lyricism is
uncanny,
honestly.
It's true. And it's taken me a while really to listen to it, to really kind of what he means, by some of the lyrics, because they have a message, and I think they're very personal to him for the time when he wrote them too.
It kind of felt like a diary.
Yeah. I mean, some of them, didn't he say some of them he wrote several years ago? So they're not like really recent.
No, he said very clearly that he's been writing or working on these images and concepts from some of them 7 years, some of them 4 years, some of them 3, and some of them just within this year.
Right.
So, or was there something that was influenced? So, for instance, the concept of all day was a newer concept, but how it came together was a newer, something that was based on the way that the music came together for it.
Mhm.
But the words and the philosophy of it, it's been something that's been there. It's been growing within him.
Right.
I love that he said that he can begin to form a melody, but normally a key word is the thing that helps him to ask himself, what do I want to say?
Tata. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but Tata has joined us once again.
Oh,
From the live stream.
yay! Tata, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't wait. So the concept of having a key word. So like Flowerworks was a keyword, and
Yeah.
in 2015, if you think about the fact that Born Singer is what they were writing at that time.
Yeah.
Born Singer is what they were writing. So when I thought of the timing, and my mind automatically went to Wildflower and him on that stage. I was like, oh, maybe I'm the only one who saw it that way, but I was like, oh, because that stage from Muster when they sang Born Singer was a statement piece.
Yes. Definitely.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk really. So the next one is he'd rather build his work like an architect. Whoa, stone by stone and brick by brick. What do you think about that?
Well, isn't that also the puzzle? Yeah, I mean the puzzle pieces that we've been putting together. That Weavers has had the puzzles. I mean, I feel he thinks very thoroughly about everything and the way that he puts things together. And so I do think that everything kind of has a purpose and a meaning that he's doing. And the puzzle is just a whole nother piece of this Indigo puzzle, I think.
That is how he's also releasing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but whenever he drops like he did all day, he has like, I saw it on Twitter. It's Indigo, and it's each song is coming out with some kind of promo for it, and it's piecing together by puzzle.
That's what we were talking about this week, Angela.
Yeah,
about how the puzzle pieces are starting to come together to form this full image.
Right.
I think it's interesting how he thinks about it like that, because puzzles are very 2D. You put the puzzle together, you get an image. But if you're doing it in the sense of an architect, there's so much that an architect does to get to its final build. So Namjoon isn't just glossing over everything like, okay, here you go, here's what you get. He's like, nope, take a minute, and I'm going to build you this entire structure in a song from beginning to end.
Right.
Here you go.
I have to tell you, like the notes that we have written for today, you do realize I took them word for word from him. I just paraphrased it because I didn't need to create anything. He literally handed us everything.
Right.
This slow, beautiful trickling of information to create like the paste or the glue that holds those bricks together. So when he says stone by stone and brick by brick, every single thing is purposeful. Yeah.
And it's true.
But I mean, what? 7 years of purposeful building is pretty incredible. And it's astounding. It's astounding that the mind, his artistic mind is expression. It's
well, and you've also seen an artist be able to flow through different genres of music, like the album flows. I mean, maybe someone like Prince, maybe, somebody that can really flow through like some R&B, some acoustic, some rap. I mean, you don't often come across anyone that has that much talent in that variety of genres.
No, yeah, that album definitely had a lot of different genres. He had one that was city music, and I was just not expecting. I don't know why I had expectations for Indigo when Namjoon has proven us time and time again that he does not fit in the box. He not
fits in no box.
A box. He is everything outside of it.
Right.
Well, that's kind of what our number 6 topic was. This album is so me. Because that's what you're saying. This is Namjoon, right? Namjoon is not there's no expectation. he's not a two-dimensional being. I don't even know that Namjoon's three-dimensional. I
He
believe
might
that
not even be four-dimensional. This man is infinite,
Yeah.
honestly.
Right. This is a person who knows how to exist in thinking, phrasing. Yeah, no, I love that comment. You're correct, Tata. His brain cells are working so hard all the time. Hey, Steph, thank you so much for coming on today. Yay. Listen, I talk about it as having a 360-degree vision. It's something I came up with. No one, that's not a scientific term. So let me just be very clear about that. I think he has the ability to see front, back, forward, and sideways. And I think that it oftentimes can overwhelm and overburden the mind when you're thinking that much. And you know that, Angela, as a teacher, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
But as a teacher and an educator, when you see him parsing and then placing things together like this to fit in together,
Yeah.
we talked about the savant mind a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that actually this album for me shows that he has kind of compartmentalized things. So he like lonely. And this was a time where he was really having a lot of feelings, some things were happening, hectic, some things were happening. I feel like he's kind of been able to kind of, each song represents maybe a little moment in time. And he's kind of compartmentalized that into like a little, a beautiful song to represent what he was going through. But I do really think his mind, I wonder if his mind, sometimes he feels a little tortured, where he's got he's got so much going on and so much emotion, but yet he's got sometimes like the weight of the world on him. I think he feels a heavy responsibility. So I think he has for me, this album also shows some ups and downs that he's gone through as well. And maybe being able to release this is like a big weight off of his shoulders.
Yeah. We were saying it's like taking a really big breath.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking for Namjoon. I'm speaking as if it was me, and I'm looking at it as I'm not an impartial party whatsoever. None of us are here. We're all extremely invested, and we have been handed a template for our own self-reflection journey. Right? That is what Indigo is. It's literally an architectural blueprint for us to be able to look at our own selves. And it doesn't matter what age, because Angela and I were talking about that, Jackie, how age is really not a relevant construct when it comes to what he's handed us here. Not whatsoever. So I think that let's talk about a little bit about when he talks about a true beauty as a true sadness, and how he ended up writing using the artist Yoon, because that as a construct is something that is ageless. It has nothing to do with a generation. He's speaking to everybody with the construct of Yoon. So what do you think about the true beauty is a true sadness, and him being able to connect to that? That's a very difficult concept, I think, to be able to wrap your head around.
Well, yes, and like something that really stuck out to me is something I heard. I don't remember if I read it somewhere or I heard it from my dad or where it came from, but somewhere along the lines of my life, I heard you can't know true happiness without knowing sadness.
True.
So, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand what he's talking about, and I think that's kind of where the artist got that, because how am I supposed to know if this is like the height of everything I'm supposed to feeling if I've never been rock bottom? Because as they say, when you're rock bottom, you have nowhere to go but up.
Right.
But you have to get yourself up from that rock bottom, from the lowest of your point, to get past that height of happiness that you thought was the ultimate. Because now that you've known what it feels like to not be that happy, you know that there's less. So that means there has to be more.
Right. And also, he had to face those feelings. He had to live them and feel them. And maybe now he's feeling like, he's kind of broken through to the other side of some of those. And I think that's exactly right. You never know what you're feeling until you felt the bottom of them, the lowest of the.
And then for them, I feel like it's harder to process because they're so busy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the moment to sit there and be like, dang, I'm really sad right now. Or like, I think at some point they brought up sometimes I'm sad, but he's also sad. So I can't go to him and tell one of my other members, like, hey, I'm sad because they're going through something too.
Right.
So they don't ever really have the time to process the emotions like you and I do. Sometimes
Right.
just sit and be like, dang, I'm sad. They don't have that.
Right.
And Namjoon takes those moments of I'm in my studio working to. I remember this one time I felt this way. This is when I bring it out. I put it in a box. Now is the time to bring it out.
Right.
Like
he addressed that, because that is how Yoon ended up. That's why this artist Yoon has such a huge influence in his life, so much so that piece, that artwork sits in his hallway. And remember, Namjoon said that when he's having a tough time, he has a dialogue with that painting, and says to himself, I can get through this, right? I can make it through. This is not that bad. This is not that difficult, because you've been through so much more. So I think that is such a beautiful coping strategy. Let me just step into that moment. Namjoon is explaining to us how art is a beautiful form of coping for him. How he uses it to create to work through his internal dialogue. So everyone who's listening and will listen in the future, just understand we all have internal dialogues that are happening at all times. That's how we reason and rationalize, and how we work our way through things. That's how we build. You can't build and move to the next brick or stone unless we've figured out how to move to the next one, and our dialogue takes us to that space. So when Namjoon is talking about the true beauty and the true sadness, they're also building bricks, right? Correct? They're pieces of the architectural structure, and we have both, and both come together to create a personal ethos, a personal philosophy. I remember, and when he said, when you were extremely sad or happy, we shed tears for both. Namjoon inquired, why did Yoon say this? And he recalled the difficult hardships that Yoon experienced through the war and the pain of his country's struggle. And Namjoon said that he thought that the true beauty, also that Yoon reflected that true beauty or sadness can lead to madness. So how many of us understand that feeling, where we've experienced something so overwhelming that we can sometimes feel that state of madness, right? That's so
like at one point or another, we all have either hit that top high that's like, I'm so happy right now, or that really low of the rock bottom where you don't know where else to go.
That's the concept. I mean, he pulled me into a concept that I really had to sit in the pocket of and say, with Yoon creating art in a space of destruction and mental and emotional struggle and challenge, but still finding the way to create art in a world where people were starving around him, and Yoon himself could have been starving. How did the art take on life? And so how amazing is it to be able to find a balance between hate and existence? What a concept. I mean, how does one take something like that and translate that into a song? I know.
Part of it has to do, didn't he? I believe he said this in the Zach interview too, of there's a difference between somebody doing something to do it and somebody who's like, if I don't do this, I'm going to die. Like, I will feel like I'm dying if I don't do this.
Yes. They did say that.
So for him, I know for us, it's some kind of like context of like, how do we take this on? Like, how did he do this? And I feel like to him, it's like breathing. He doesn't think about it. It doesn't have to be something complicated. It just happens, because Namjoon, without music, what would he do? He's always wanted to be a poet. He's always wanted to write.
Right.
So he loves it so much that he's like, I would die without this. So things just translate like that for him. And I feel like that could have also been the case for the artist, because it's not easy to go through so many things and sit there and be like, oh, I want to paint. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to paint, or I'm going to do this. Or you really have to have a passion for it. You really have to feel like, if I don't do this, I'm going to die, or it's like breathing.
Right.
So I feel like maybe that's also a way that he understands the artist, because they both have something that if they're not doing it, it feels to them as if they were dying.
Mm.
That's absolutely perfect. I'm going to actually grab these 3 comments because they're extremely relevant in this moment. And thank you so much, Tata and Sarah, for them. Tata, I agree with you. Actually, I felt that RM is tired. He wants us to know how he really went through. And yes, he shared the most personal, intimate conversation he had with his own self with 40 million of us, his best friends in the world. And he knew we would hear him. You know how we knew that? Just that interview today. He said, you know, they're out there listening.
Mm.
I know that they're out here listening because
Mm.
I know, he knows Army and he knows this is a two-way, it's not a monologue, it's a two-way dialogue. So I love that he trusted us to know he was tired and that he had to move through and gave us 10 stages of his existence as he's moving through. And then what you said is perfect right here. Yes, go ahead. You were going to say something, Angela. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
And then I absolutely adore this concept. You're so right, Tata. The fact is, this is how the boys communicate with us. I mean, they have their lives, but their dialogues with us, their conversations are in music. They're in lyrics.
Right.
Because that's where they get to share who they are as human beings. So I completely agree with this conversation. Actually, I loaded an image with 2 things that I wanted us to remember. It's this one. So hang on. Let me just get back and okay, thank you so much. So he says, this is my story over the last 4 years, which is super interesting because we know he's been working on it for 7 years.
Right.
If you recall, this is 2018, and we knew from 2018 was a very formative time for them.
Right.
So I really take to heart that he is sharing a tumultuous journey with us, and then I hope it stays with you for a long time, like a tranquil field. I mean, it was tumultuous, but then at the same moment, it's actually going to, right? Don't you think this is exactly how it's going to stay with us?
Well, and he maybe feels some relief, releasing this and how well it's been, received. And I think that everyone now has a really strong understanding of what he's gone through.
Okay. Again, I am so sorry because it's very easy for us to just get so caught up in the reflection that we actually stop talking for 2 seconds. I am so sorry about that.
Yeah, honestly, Indigo's been out for how long now, and I still have not fully processed everything that he just gave us and everything that he keeps giving us. He's giving me whiplash with how much content he's giving us when I still haven't completely processed.
Yeah, I mean, me neither. And you and I talked about how difficult it has been for me to watch Wildflower. And it's because you and I have just been here so long, and I think we see like flashes and flashes. And thank you. You're correct, Tata. That's exactly right. It was around that time. So, yeah. And there was a lot of things going on in the world that we won't talk about today. It's just too big of a conversation. I think maybe in the future we might talk about the tumultuous 2017 to 2019, but not today.
Today we're going to the dark ages.
Yeah. Well, yes and no, okay.
They're the dark ages for me.
Oh my God, a lot of people came on it that came to it became Army at that time, so they don't know a lot of the things. But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. We're here to share. We're here to share that information. So those 4 years, they make a lot of sense in terms of his inner dialogue. And we are now going to move into an unboxing really quickly. And everybody, because this conversation is a pretty heavy conversation. Let me be straight up, okay?
It definitely is, yeah.
And then from there, we're going to go straight into All Day, then Still Life, and then Wildflower will be our last one.
All day.
Okay.
I love All
So
Day.
we are about to. I'm unboxing the exclusive. This one is the Target exclusive. I'm still waiting for my. I didn't get my Amazon one. That's the one that's behind. So I'm still waiting for that one. So this is the Target. Let's see. You know what? I've had them for a week and I have literally been such a good person. I didn't open any of them.
That is self-control at its finest because I could never.
One time. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't believe myself. Believe me, I wanted to. It was really hard. Oh, it's a very nice box. Very simple. Okay.
Very Namjoon, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very Namjoon. Oh my
Yeah.
god. This is so
He's not one for the
friendly.
acceptable player.
Okay, see? You guys
Mhm.
see it?
Mhm.
Look at it. So environmentally friendly. How cute. I love it. This
He's
is the
our
CD.
eco-friendly boy.
Yep.
Yes, this is our CD. There's nothing. Okay, that's just the CD. Sorry, not just the CD, but that's the CD. And then we all got the. Ooh, I love this one. Documentation of my youth in the moment of independent phase, an honest, unadorned record with shades from the colors of nature human.
Beautiful.
I love that photo of him.
I love this photo. Because you're going to see it in a minute. Because because you know how I feel about this. I can write an essay about the shadows
Mm.
and just understanding the concept of shadows and what they mean in terms of self-expression and self-awareness, and how with shadows and shades things can be hidden and how we hide things. And then we have, oh my gosh, guys, or sorry, my lovelies. Okay, I know you're seeing the color on this.
It's indigo. It feels like jean material.
Yeah.
It is jean material.
Wow.
It is.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't have the Target exclusive one. I don't.
It is, guys. It is. It is
it?
literally denim.
Wow. That's
How
amazing.
they did this, I don't even have a clue. But it's
Where
textured.
there's a will, there's a way.
And then this is the other side. Woo-hoo. Oh, of course. Give me a photo like this any day.
Oh, please.
These are actually some of my absolute favorites. They make me cry. I love the concept of the emotion of not having to look straight at a camera, because that's a representation of who you can be. Oh, wow. Whoa. Oh, wow.
Beautiful, man.
Oh, my Lord. This is absolutely beautiful. Look at which one I got. Look which one I got. There were 6, right? He painted 6?
Yes.
Oh, then it's the same. Oh, but I love this one. Because when he did the live, remember, he went over all that one. And then, of course.
That's beautiful, yeah.
I love his concept photos.
Yeah.
Can someone keep an eye on the chat for me while I'm doing this? Sorry. And then we have, oh my gosh,
a poster I need on my wall ASAP.
I know this poster is absolutely glorious. Glorious. I just hate that they're all folded, because then I feel like they're damaged.
They crease. Yes.
They get creased. Oh, it's a book. I thought the book was going to actually be lighter, or a film, not as heavy of a material, but it's good. It's really good. Okay, so I got the extra photo cards, as you can see.
Okay.
And I have the black and white, and then we have the extra of the other one. So that's cool. And then, they're so pretty. And he signed. And then you just, so yeah. Oh, they're beautiful. Sorry, it's really hard to flip through. Okay, wait. It's so, yes, I love the simplicity, but I love that he takes the time, and all of the paintings are right here.
It is a simple design, but I feel like simplicity is Namjoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Down to the 200 people concert that he had.
Okay. Just so you know, there are photos in here that we didn't see. That he was correct. Oh my God, they're beautiful. Oh, okay. Hold yourself. Hold it together, girl.
I can't. I love him.
Oh my gosh. That
art.
That's pure art. Okay, we're running down, so we're gonna have to run into our next few into our songs now. I would love to show all of them to you. I cannot. Wow. Honestly, I thought we saw everything, but nope. He's right. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't. Wow. They're beautiful. Wow. Whew, they're beautiful. We won't have time for this one today, but I wanted to just show I love this one so much. Isn't he so beautiful?
He is.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's absolutely glorious. And then the second, oh, we get the second poster. Okay, so that's really cool. I'm glad I actually got all of the exclusives. I'm hoping the next one is a little bit different. I mean, not that I'm complaining, so please.
Mercy.
Aw. Yeah, you're so right, Tata. The expressions are just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. All right, we're actually going to go into our next little phase here. And everyone want to pull up the so we're gonna we're gonna talk about these three songs, but I did something a little challenging. I challenged everyone here to think of the mono philosophy as we reviewed these three songs and just see if we can toggle back and forth, because one of the things that Namjoon was saying in his behind sketches is there were parts of mono that he just wishes he could have gone back and undone or got rid of them, which I'm sad about, because for the majority, I would say probably 99.9999999% of us, we're like, no, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Why would you do that? But I was very excited with the ability to juxtapose those two parts of him and dive into the reasons why Namjoon may have regrets related to the monotone of the color palette of mono versus the dynamic, vivid color of indigo. And I think that discussing these particular three songs actually give us the ability to do that, to look at go from the monotone palette to the vivid color of indigo. And he talks about being more comfortably aware of who he can be, the errors, and even the egregious errors at time, and finding a way to accept that indigo gives us accept those things, that indigo gives us a year by year understanding of some of the journey that he's been through. So these three songs we're going to talk about are, of course, the two with the music videos. And then All Day we chose simply because I think we all chose it simply because it's all of us. And I think that we all feel very connected to the discordant feeling of living all day and having to constantly be figuring out moment to moment who we are. Are we existing? Are we not existing? Are we happy? Are we sad? Are we dealing with the hate around us or not? So let's go into All Day.
Well, I chose All Day because I like the full circle moment of Tableau from Epic High being on a song with Namjoon.
Yeah, that's
beautiful. My favorite full circle moment, because Epic High is who inspired Namjoon to start rapping. And that, I love that full circle moment. Two great minds on one song.
And here's our frequency track list. And I think as we go, no, you keep talking. I'm going to go ahead and go through the images.
Okay.
And what a brilliant concept that when you actually run these frequencies through a soundboard, that you actually can hear the turning of the paper, the wind, that you can hear all of it. It's just, oh my God, this mind of his. It's unreal.
I love it because I know he brought up how he recorded one of the songs. I don't remember the name of his friend that plays the guitar. I am so sorry. But how he just went to him and was like, hey, I want to record something. And it was just the rawness on a really bad mic of his front of the guitar, Namjoon hitting the table, tapping on his leg, like just
tapping on his leg, and there it was. Yeah,
and there it was. Change it.
Insane. It's just insane. Okay, so this is All Day, and let's talk a little bit about the message of All Day. So everyone read the lyrics with us. So, okay, the commercials these days are all the same. From now, enjoy it as I like. Nice dancers and nice clothes. There are more bodies outside. It just becomes a habit. I don't care. You know, these guys do care more. In fact, the body is nothing. The mind is more of the problem. I myself don't know. I mean, I'm not going to curse on on air, but I love this line so much. The uh
Mm,
the the algorithm.
yeah.
I need to think the rhythm. My biorhythm gives me no time to think. When will I write my own poem? Forgotten dreamin'.
Mm.
So what are you thinking here, Angela? What are you thinking he's saying? And then jump in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm thinking of, the algorithm, being having taught algebra is like, this very prescribed formula, right? And so to kind of break out of this algorithm or say, blank the algorithm, I've got my own rhythm, is kind of like freeing for him, or
It
hope
is.
to be free from this very rigid prescribed formula. So yeah, I love that, those two kind of lines there.
Sorry about this. Hold on one second, guys. This does this to me all the time. 1 second.
Yeah, so while she figures it out, I'm gonna put in my 2 cents. Whenever I heard this, I thought more of the fact like, okay, so both Tableau of Epic High and Namjoon are in this industry of what matters most is streams. How much, like, how is your song playing? Are we getting
Mm-hmm.
radio play? And the specificness of, is the algorithm going to
Mm-hmm.
favor us, or is it going to show us on Spotify? So I think it's more of them saying, well, like this algorithm, because why do we have to conform ourselves to
Right.
this box of what the public wants? We
Mhm.
aren't the
Yeah.
mainstream. We
Right.
shouldn't have to put ourselves in this little box to become mainstream for this algorithm. Like, this shouldn't be what we
Mhm.
have to
Mhm.
worry about every time I write a song, every time I try to put an album together. I
Mhm.
shouldn't have to worry about, is this going to perform well?
Right.
Because they love music, they love what they do, but of course in the back of their mind, the first thing they're going to think about is, so how is this going to perform when I drop it? Is it going to be on Billboard? Am I going to be on a Spotify playlist? Like, that was the first thing that I thought of when I heard that from that song, for both of
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
Yes, that was my 2 cents.
No, I think that Tiffany had written something, and I know she's not probably not able to make it here. But one of the things that we talked about was the beat and the discordant sound. Um, and the reason that we have those things together overlapping each other, and it's a very difficult musical
Mm,
crashing sound to listen to for a lot of people because the discordance is not easy, but that constant overlapping of where there's no time
mm,
to defragment in a sense is how I felt that they were talking about. We're in an age where everything is just moving so quickly that you barely have time throughout your entire day
mm-hmm.
to move out of all these cycles that you're stuck in. And I know Tiffany had put a comment about how symbolism is in the phrasing and the repetition concept. The challenges that we face all day, they move cyclically. And so I feel that decrescendo of the discordant sound is us moving through those cycles, just like you were talking about, Jackie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm fighting all day. Okay, okay, get out of my way. I don't care what you say. It's like an expression of rage, if you guys know what
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And frustration, but
Yeah.
in a gentle way. Thank you, Dr. I appreciate you so much. I think that he gave us the ability to be able to understand and accept our own discordance.
Mm-hmm.
I know you talked about wanting to like teeter between like mono and this to discuss the colors, but I'm gonna take it a step further back. Namjoon released a mixtape called RM,
Yes, he did.
and in one of his songs, "Joke," it's a song basically being like, well, people used to be like, oh, well, Namjoon doesn't rap fast, and that's like a big thing for rappers to be very mainstream and rap fast. And he released "Joke," making fun of like, okay, I'm rapping fast, but I'm not saying anything because you guys aren't saying anything either when you rap fast. And it makes me think back from this to that because, again, following the whole thing of the algorithm of being mainstream, we've never known them to be that. We've
Right.
Yeah.
never known them to love, like, oh, this song is really popular right now. Let's try to get the same thing going. Like, they've always been outside
Yeah.
of that. from the very beginning.
Yeah. It's exactly what they. So you're saying that Bangtan has always been the discordant rhythm and sound and beat. Yep, that's correct. That's exactly what made them Bangtan. They they gave us something so completely out of the norm and the expected. And we got that with 7 flavors, you know?
Mhm.
7 flavors to create this beautiful, chef's kiss. So I love it. I could keep going on. I know our time is jumping down. I mean, if it's up to you, if you guys are okay with it, I'd rather just try to go through all of it, even if we go over a little bit, if that's all right. So about all day in this age of algorithms. So this is Namjoon who said this. I'm going to read it to you because we didn't actually put it up. And this is what he said about all day. In this age of algorithms, it's gotten much harder than before to have your own color and voice. Not in the end. In order to last long, no matter what is, preferences or whatever, I have something of my own in order to enjoy my life and to last longer in the business. I believe I need to have something that's my own. It doesn't have to be art or something creative. And he says exactly what you said, Jackie. As a matter of fact, I use Tableau's legacy. In a way, it feels like I incorporated both. It was my favorite style back then. When I was young, I listened to it and gained hope. It's a style I used to sing in school festivals. That's from his album, The Magazine. Remember that film? And I wanted to put this because, and I didn't put it at the beginning. I put it after our conversation. We actually we addressed everything that he said here. It was about him having belief in himself, finding his understanding his own discordance, understanding his own moments of crescendo and decrescendo, and knowing what it took for them as Bangtan, but also Namjoon, and then each of them to last in the industry. It was about finding their own color.
And that's interesting because they're both very Tableau and Namjoon, the way that they think, the way that they process information, the way that they voice it. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever heard Tableau speak, but he has a podcast or had a podcast with Dive Studios. And the way that he talks and explains dialogue, it reminds me in a slight way of Namjoon. They both have this way of thinking that isn't the way that everybody else would go about thinking it. It's so much more broad and extensive. And that's why I thought it was really interesting that he and Tableau did all day, because I didn't really think Tableau would go the way that he did with the song, if that makes sense. But then again, we also didn't expect this. Well, I didn't expect this from Namjoon. That was just a thought that I had. Sorry.
He gave Tableau this open, an open door, basically, to create something. And isn't it interesting that Namjoon sang this? He sang the guide, sent it to Tableau, and then could not sing it again on top of what was created.
Yep.
So that guide is actually what we got. And how often does that happen? That's nuts.
None.
Absolutely nuts to me that that's how it happened. All right, we're going to move on to yay.
I love him.
Man, I wish we could play music for you, but we did find a different way to do that. I can do that through YouTube in the future. I just have to use Google Meets for that instead. So if we want to do live music videos and live audio content, I do have the ability to bring that to you in the future, just to let all of you know. We just have to do it through a different medium than the StreamYard medium. But maybe in the future, we'll try and get on and do that so we can do a live listen to the entire album together. So let's see if we can work that out in the next month to get that to happen. I am trying so hard to make sure I bring everybody the best, the best that we can. So this is the still life concept here. And we all know that in the position that he's in, he's actually sitting almost in the same position that he was in Spring Day and in Yet to Come. So that's a choice. Why to put yourself, I love that continuity of that. And then in Still Life, here we go. I'm just reading some. I'm actually going to give this comment and put it up. Yep, we 100% agree with this.
Yeah, I really think that Still Life is, maybe he's felt a bit people kind of freezing him and locking him in a certain position, a certain genre, a certain stage in his life, but he really wants to break free of that. I'm not I'm not being still. I'm going to keep moving. You can't. Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. The message of the song for me has been, I'm still moving. I'm going forward.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're cutting out a little bit here and again, and then I'm singing over you. I apologize. We lost you a little bit there. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I think she muted herself.
Nope, she's back. Mm-hmm.
I was really feeling like when I have listened to this song now a lot, I feel like the message, and I think what Anderson .Paak, right? You cannot lock him in a frame. He's like, for me, he's kind of
100%.
he's out there, and I think they really enjoyed their time in Vegas. Spending time with him last year and things like that, or earlier this year. And I think that he was like the perfect choice to accompany him in this song.
Mm-hmm.
He is one that you can never lock in a frame. And he's moving, and he's constantly moving. And I think his brain also goes really fast, like Namjoon's brain goes.
Yes.
Very creative, very artistic. And he's kind of one of those ones, if you remember when they won the Grammy, he just got up and he's just like, look at me, and he does not care what people think about him. And I think maybe, Namjoon kind of about him too. And I think it was the perfect pick to have this song with him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. The line that I'm going to talk about now is I'm still life, but I'm moving, just live now, going forward. Yeah, still life, that's not stop, keep my flower blooming again. That line, keep my flower blooming again, the continuity of the concept of the blooming flower, the 7 flowers that bloom, be it Hobie, be it Jungkook, be it Jin, be it Jim, they're always referencing the 7 flowers that are blooming. And I love that it stays in the wordplay.
Yeah.
They always find a way to reference themselves, like each other too. Because I know in All Day, I've got dynamite in my DNA.
Yeah.
The shout out.
I got dynamite in my DNA. I love it. I know we didn't really get to go through all of the lyrics. Oh God, I can do.
You said that, and it brought me back to I've got dynamite in my DNA. I was like,
my DNA, and then give me no name because I'm untitled. I'm like, give me no name because I'm untitled. I'm like, yeah. Where else did we hear that? Let's go back now. That would be way back in like Hangtan. Remember Attack of Hangtan? That was way back when. So I mean, I was like, what the heck? So the past is gone and the future is unclear. Yes, and I am okay with that. I mean, him saying that that's okay. That's the whole purpose of being in a moving frame. Because even though the painting is sitting there, and Cezanne or Rembrandt created it, hundreds of years ago, the image itself still has life. So therefore, what I breathe into my own painting of every day will continue to have life, and it will keep moving forward. It will constantly be on display to the world. But the most important person who that it needs to be displayed to is me. That's why I catch my breath at a fork in the road.
Yeah.
That's a statement. That is so relevant. That's so relatable, right, Angela? Especially with students and across all generations. But
right,
we're all sitting at that moment. Okay, so did you guys want to touch on any of the other lyrics? Because I would, because I love. I
was just gonna bring up like the fork in the road thing, because I know you said like this touches on every generation differently. Whenever I first heard that lyric, for some reason, my mind went straight through to poetry. Like, what is it? 2 roads diverged by Ayla Wood, and I took the path less traveled by. Is it something along those lines? But that was like the first thing that popped up to me because in a situation like this, whenever he takes his moment of breath, like he says it in the lyric, be honest, which road is Namjoon gonna take? The one that everybody goes down through, or the one that might take you a little bit longer that looks like it has not been taken care of ever?
Right.
So I thought that was also an interesting thing because not everybody would have popped up with that. I don't remember where or what poet exactly said that, but it struck something in me. That chord of that
It's
moment.
called the road less traveled.
The road less traveled. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's called. So
Mhm.
that's a perfect complex piece that has to do with exactly what you're talking about. I have to look it up for you. I'll put it in the chat in a little bit, but you're correct. So I keep saying frost in my brain, but I'm not correct. I'm not actually correct. It's sorry guys. I should know that, but I don't. Okay. So I want to escape the frame of this canvas. So that's everyone. That's the relatability. This entire Namjoon was right. This is one that everyone will relate to.
Mhm.
It's every moment of everything that's written in here. The shadow cast over me by yesterday and tomorrow. I mean, come on. Expectations as and assumptions. That's the shadow. There's expectations and assumptions about who you are, what you're saying, what people think you believe, what people don't think you believe. I mean, that's how I'm seeing this.
To me, I found it really interesting how like most of these lyrics in the song are movement. Something is about movement, going forward, coming back,
Yeah.
shadows move, this move, that moves. And
Mm-hmm.
the song is called Still Life.
Right.
And, still life is like a painting based off of inanimate objects, things that don't move.
Right.
But here he is in the song talking about things that move because
Moving.
he doesn't want to be. He's not still life. He's not a
Right.
still life painting because he's not an inanimate object.
Right.
He doesn't want to be seen as one.
Right.
But
I just
that's what that shadow does, though. That shadow creates assumptions and expectations, all of which are completely two-dimensional, and they drag you down. So let's go back to Wildflower, which we're going to talk about. That is what we're talking about when he's on that stage. It's this moment, that shadow, that wants to drag you down. Role expectation, role assumptions, cultural and social expectation, industry expectations and assumptions, all of which are grabbing at you the whole time. I mean, it's a foreshadowing in a sense, but think about when Jungi did Interlude Shadow. That's exactly what he was talking about. It's
yeah.
exactly this. It's no different. It's when Hobie wrote Ego. He's talking about this.
Mhm.
It's this juxtaposition of things that
Mhm.
are deeply diving in and grabbing at your self.
Mhm.
Oh, you're on mute, Angela.
Oh, sorry. I did just real quick say something to my son.
No, you're good. Okay, sorry. Oh, I could just keep going with this song. I'm sorry. I could
I
just
can keep going about the whole album, about everything. But
and we are 8 minutes past our time. We still have the little quiz to do, and we got Wildflower. So if everyone, we don't have that many people listening, but we have amazing people listening, and we love you guys so much. Let's try and get on to our next one. So just remember what he said about this as a last parting thing. This concept of still life is not just about being the still life in the moving frame. It's about also at the end of life, if you had to make a choice between life and death, am I happy with the life I'm existing in, or was the life satisfying? And it was a really important concept that he talked to Anderson about,
Mhm.
that end of life, self-awareness and self-reflection. Like, what are you going to say to yourself when that time comes? You know what I'm saying?
I love that he finally has somebody to discuss these things with. Because I
Mhm.
know like, in the song, like more towards like the end, right before they hit their last little beat, it's him and Anderson talking about like, man, how people are, da 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 da, and then Anderson's just like basically like, it is what it is. Like it's gonna be what it's gonna be. You just
Yeah.
gotta keep doing you just gotta
I
keep
love it.
and that's exactly what I think Namjoon had to learn was people are gonna talk, people are gonna criticize, people are gonna do it all the time. You just gotta keep doing what you're doing. And I think the best person to have told him that was Anderson .Paak.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you. Anderson came through a lot for Silk Sonic to be where it is today. He hasn't, this is not his first rodeo, dear. This Anderson's been around a long time, and there's been a lot of assumptions and expectations and oppressions and suppressions on that journey. So, like, it's such a beautiful marriage, an unexpected one, but it's in the same way that we talked about Jin and Coldplay.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
who would have seen it? But in the long run, it made so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Right.
I am going to move on, but I love that moment where June was explaining to us about why each artist was chosen and the conversations that he had
Yeah.
with
Yes, but
her.
Erica knew how he was like, I didn't want to insult her because I wrote the whole thing. I just wanted her to sing it. It was so cute.
Because that was the only voice that was going to make this make sense. If it wasn't that voice, I was like, oh, you're so sweet.
I didn't want to insult her, but I just wanted to be like, here you go. He definitely
And he's
sent
like,
her a
dude,
5-page
she
essay.
just keeps checking on me and she's texting me and I'm like, oh, I loved
He
it.
sent her a 5-page essay in MLA format. Like, this is why I want to do this song. This is the meaning behind everything.
And the whole history of the song and the whole thing, I was like, dude, I love you.
Yeah.
You guys know I would do it exactly that way, right? Y'all know
Yeah.
me.
No, that's exactly what he did. And I love how, like, we have a glimpse of Tableau being like, I didn't even have to listen to it. I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And I wonder if she did the same thing. Like, okay.
No, man, but go back to the thing and listen. She's like, no, man, I vibed with it pretty quickly. It made sense. She was like, this is so unusual, but I love this, and then like, but Erica is a very intuitive person. I mean, that's the whole purpose behind Erica's philosophy, is not to give in to the status quo of existence. Erica is very different. So, and I've been a big fan of Erica for a very long time. So this was just like I was a fan. I'm a fan of Coldplay. My little heart has been so happy with these two things.
I love how everything worked out with him artist wise and like the amount of people that he brought in with him. Because for the longest, I didn't think he was going to have any features on the album. Mainly because I was like, oh, this is Namjoon about to give us his life that he hasn't done before. It might just be him by himself. But then when he released it and then he talked about how, like, whenever he's writing or after he's written the song, he has a missing piece that he needs to fill. And he found that in every single artist. Even with Eon, whenever he was just like, I just need you to put something together. Didn't give him a box, was just like, do what you do. And we've got this.
Aw, so cute. I love everybody here. This picture, as you guys know, I use it for the thing. So we're jumping immediately into Wildflower Man, and fireworks. So I know that Angela has to jump out pretty soon. I don't want to keep anyone back. Do you want to just jump straight in or just do the 5 questions, the quiz questions at the end and see who you want to paste them in for me, Jackie? They're at the end of the document, so you can just paste them in there, and anyone has grabbed the answers. That'll be great.
The quiz questions, sure thing.
Yeah, thank you. So there are 2 different versions of how I did flower, and I name it Flower Works, not just Wildfire. This is the Korean and English together. I actually wanted to make sure and highlight the conversation he had about why he created this in the first place and why the metaphor is what it is. So I wanted to make sure that we had that history. That's 7 years actually to make it into an actual song. But if I name it as Flowerworks, I was afraid that people would be like, what does this even mean? So I changed it so people could feel it more and understand the metaphor of the wildflower. But I think this song was a symbol of my 20s, and that album is as well. I mean, my God, this song took 7 years to create. Namjoon's 28. It is a symbol of his 20s. It's literally the entire story of his Bangtan journey.
Right.
From I Need You moving forward.
Right.
The struggles they had before that, but this 2015 to 2022, oh my God, is what he's telling us in in Wildflower. This is the story that he's telling us. If you need to jump off, certainly do. No problem. No problem.
Okay.
And we put a couple great questions in there. If you guys want to go ahead and try and answer those, that would be great. And so I kind of just gave away one of the answers. So just if you listen to what I said, you're good.
I've given away one of these answers as well.
So Flower Field, that's where I'm at. Jackie, can you? Yes. Frog in my throat. You want to grab and read through the lyrics real quick?
Sure. Okay. Sorry, I was pasting in the question, so we're gonna pause on that for a second.
So sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You have a frog in your throat. I've got this.
I do.
Flower fields, that's where I'm at. Open land, that's where I'm at. No name, that's what I have. No shame, I'm on my grave. When you feel, don't touch the ground. When I need to make this bigger. I'm sorry. I have extended.
Yeah.
When your feet don't touch the ground. When your own heart underestimates you. When your dreams devour you. When you feel you're not yourself. I yearn for the flames. I yearn for a beautiful fall. Even before the start, I imagined an end where I could applaud and smile. That's what I wished for. When everything I believed in grew distant, when all this frame turned into shackles, please take my desires away from me, no matter what it takes. Oh, let me be myself. Oh, every day and every night.
Every day and every night.
That song.
Pain, persistent pain in criminal minds, because I know that's what comes next. Oh my God. What? I mean, literally, we can sit here.
I don't know if we could sit here and do that because I would.
And we could go 6 months at a time of their journey over the last 8 years. We can piece out the pieces of at least 8 years of their life just from the phrase that we have on here. It's incredible. And so the concept, because this is not the first time we've had June say to us, no name, that's what I have. Because Jungi's actually said it too, right? If you go back to D2, actually, it's a concept that's in there about the no name. But no shame, I'm on my grave. So, he's talking about in this moment, I can't have the shame of knowing who I am, who I have learned to exist as, and the name that I have chosen for myself, even if it means I have to die, even if it means I have to kill the shadow of myself or the person other people expect me to be. So, it's not just about being on the grave and the two-dimensionality of death. It's about the fact that as we grow, as our personalities grow, as we grow, our persona grows, as we know that, because persona has been something that Namjoon has already dived into. So Wildflower is completely a handshake with persona. Actually, the entire album is, but we're looking at, if my feet don't touch the ground, am I still going to fall? And when your own heart underestimates you, it's like, I have hesitation about who I am as a person. I underestimate who I am. I have what's called imposter syndrome. I don't have enough self-belief, And when your own dreams devour you, because you have such strong dreams, you want so much, and you see so much for yourself, but then you don't realize that those dreams aren't the right thing for you. And in pursuing them, you can get devoured, and in achieving them, you can get devoured. Isn't that just nuts? The concept?
I feel like Namjoon has had that internal struggle his whole artistic, if not even his whole life. Because I know you brought up how it's like a handshake with persona.
Mm-hmm.
But like, even if you go back, I keep bringing up his mixtape RM, but
mm-hmm.
in Do You, he talks about how it's his internal struggle with trying to find who he is with, like, what's his sound? Who am I? What do I do? And we jumped from Do You, if you just look straight to persona, he questions the same thing because he quotes, like, who the hell am I? And he does that in Do You when he's like, I'm not rap, I'm not funk, I'm just RM.
Mm-hmm.
and then he jumps to Wildflower.
Mhm.
And like you said, the whole album, Indigo as a whole, it really feels like a whole, like, all right, this is what I've been through, but here is my growth. Here is my journey. I'm not as lost as I once was. Because he's been lost for a majority of his musical career. Because there's always been a question behind everything.
Yeah, behind everything. For all of them, though, it's all seven of them. I feel this is, you and I talked about how this is not his story. It's like seven overlapping flowers. It's each of them um, blooming and struggling to grow in the midst of all of the challenges that they had to face, whether they were going to explode as fireworks, even in the beauty of the fireworks, there's still an explosion and they fall, or whether they fall as the beautiful, graceful flower petals. So, this is such a, I mean, if you look at the imagery of the two, one being dark and fiery and one not, it's just incredible. But it is also the imagery that is them. So I yearn for the flames, yeah, because you want that burn. You do Butotomi. That's what Butotomi was about. Even before the start, I imagined an end where I could applaud and I smile. So this is what I wanted for myself. I knew from the get-go this is what I was hoping for, but it didn't work out that way. And then I had to learn what it was to be able to figure out my personality and my own self, to be able to get to a place where I was no longer shackled to the fame that came with, you know, with my dream.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense?
Yes, completely. I have tried to digest these lyrics from the moment that I read them during the music video, to be
Yeah,
honest.
and take my desire away from me. I can imagine having to say that. I do. I think all of us have taken a moment where we've said, take my desire away from me. It's
I like
true.
this comment from Mary.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a yin and yang balance.
It is. Yep, you got it. It's exactly. That's it. That's how I see it. That's how I feel it. That's so good. I love this conversation. Even though I know we don't have a lot of people in the chat right now, I just love that we have this chat. It's so amazing. I
Mm-hmm.
think, and then that yin and yang, then Mary goes specifically with the next line about persistent pain in the criminal mind. And the night, the beating of my heart has kept me up. The mournful crescent moon hung beyond the window. I do wish me a lovely night. That's the concept of finding balance.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because when you're dealing with the persistent pain of the struggle that they've had to deal with, that you have had and I've had to deal with, your mind wants to go ballistic, but do we have to keep ourselves from that happening, or do we allow it to happening? And then your heart beats out of your chest because you get so overwhelmed by all of it at the same time. And at the same time, you want to just lie down and rest. And just look up at the beautiful moon outside of your window, not knowing if you can get to that moon or not. And all you want is this as a lovely night. That's all you want. You want the peace and the calm of a lovely night, and to be out of that pain, and to let your mind settle. Um, and then over my status is an oversized life. God almighty. Literally straight out of Persona. Because remember how in Persona the body
The music video. They're
music
like
video.
really big Namjoon.
Yep. Right. He's big Namjoon. It's exactly that. Desperately holding onto a balloon and drifting by. It's so crazy because I chose the 7 balloons in our logo because of the imagery over the years, from for you all the way that I can remember, of the balloons and them holding on to them, about the 7 balloons. And
Reminds me
it's
of the little intro, or like that little in Blood, Sweat, and Tears from
mm,
Wing. That little like interruption pause that they have that's in black and white. It's a balloon.
it's a
That's what
balloon.
they say.
That's right. It's We can't go into all of this now. Oh my god, I can't even read the rest of it because it's way too much, and we're past our time, so we do need to close up. I would love to have a deeper conversation about Wildflower. I think that at some point we should, because it really deserves its own space. And then when we finally get into the second verse, I'm barely anything, killing, idling repeats, memories turning vicious, lying in a field. I set my sights on the skies. because the memories become vicious, like tethers. The negative memories can become vicious tethers, and even the positive ones, depending on how your body or how your mind is able to balance, whether that's attached to a negative um, outcome or not a negative outcome. There's so much more to really parse out when it comes to this conversation. And then, we get down to memories of holding on to dawn's edge and spitting things out. Society's all for the loudest voice. And there you go. That's what you have. That's the thing that makes me want to cry. Because that's what leads people to being to a state of madness, right? Of not knowing who you are, where you're never sure what your destiny is, where you're never sure if you are allowed to just be able to lie in that field. So flower field is where I'm at. Open land is where I want to be, because you want to be in an open space that's untethered, that's free, that's full of natural beauty and isn't attached to so much things. But the world that they've been in, and then you and I talked about that stage, it ties you, it has tied them down, it ties us down. And so I'm sorry, I can just keep going. So let's go to our closing, because we're really way past our time. Thank you guys so much for staying with us past the time, because we are trying to keep it to an hour. But we also knew that this was not going to be easy for us to do, even with 3 songs. So
even though we talked about not doing Wildflower, but how could we not do Wildflower?
Yeah, we were like, we can't do it because we'll never get through the show. It'll never happen. Oh my God, we'll be stuck. That's what happened.
We still only did 2 other songs, and that's still the conversations that it opens.
So, we put a few questions in there. If you guys want to answer us back in later, please do, because we were having such a good conversation that we kind of didn't want to stop and ask you to answer them at that moment. But feel free to please try and answer that. And I think we are going to put 3 more questions in there. If you want to answer them, that would be amazing. And then we will probably bring these questions back as a second part or a follow-up for Indigo. So we can't answer these right now, but please feel free to answer them, and we will we will bring them back. We need to bring Mary, and we need to bring Sarah, and we need to bring Tata back, because they're like our big chatters, so I love it. So these are the questions that I think we're going to focus on. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. I'm really hoping that, that more Army come to understand what we're doing here and the purpose and the kind of conversations we're having and how interactive we are. But honestly, if it's 10, 15, 20, if it's 2, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we have this dialogue between us. And that we're able to help you. And at the same time, you're helping us as well, because your comments help us to know the direction to go in. So let's go ahead and do our ending mints. Do you want to answer any of those questions, or do we actually want to answer the quiz questions?
I think the quiz questions could be fun.
Okay. So
just because they're a little bit shorter.
I'm looking back because one of my gin posters is trying to fall down. Gin, stay still, please. No falling. Like, why are you falling?
Today, sir. Not today.
Not today, sir. Stay right there. Okay, so when did Namjoon create the phrase flower work? What was the year? We'll go with that.
I think we've answered most of these if you guys have been paying attention.
We did. We absolutely did.
I know I did.
Aww.
BTS so welcome. My life, Mary. Same.
Aww, so beautiful. Yes.
Too.
Yes to all of it. Yes, absolutely. Mary, that's a conversation that we're going to be having, and it is part of our research. So feel free to, if you want to share anything with us, let us know, communicate with us, because we have a lot. I think we're going to be doing a short show that explains what LB7 or Living Pangtan 7 is actually about. We have barely touched the tip of the iceberg in terms of what our organization is going to be doing and what our outreach is going to be like. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to share that with you soon. So did anyone answer when did we create the phrase flower work? So the answer was what year? Remember the hint is born singer. Okay. I'm not going to answer it. If anybody has an answer, tell me. When did Namjoon record Forgetful? And why did he decide to spell it that way? You got that, Tata. Yep, exactly. And then when did they record Forgetful? And why did they decide to? Yep, it was actually 2015 is where he first created, where the phraseology came together, which is where Born Singer came in. And then Forgetful was recorded in one shot, and one drunken shot at that.
I love that for him.
Oh my god! And she was like, "Hey, can we re-record it?" And he's like, "Nah, it's perfect.
No.
Yeah.
Why would we re-record it? Oh no,
perfection. Oh my god! And then what year was it? Do you remember the year? It's after 2015. And then why Forgetful? Why did they take out one letter from it? I mean, that's a harder one to answer.
There's so much depth in this album. Jesus. It gives me whiplash.
Okay, and does anybody remember what group Tableau's from? It's not 2016. Good guess though.
Tableau.
And then Tableau. Do you remember the group that Tableau's from?
I think I brought it up twice.
You did.
I love Tableau.
And this group is going to be on tour, a world tour. I'm looking for tickets.
They're amazing. If you guys have not checked them out,
when you really need to. Like literally, this group has been mentioned in their songs.
This group is the reason that our Junie got inspired and fell in love with rap.
And we have to bless them for it. So the year is 2019. And that's when he did his first recording. And it was very, very, very important because it's part of those formative years we talked about. And the group that I'm going to write the answer for you. You guys, are you ready? So this is the group. And they're going to be coming in concert at some point to North America. Usually.
They announced the dates, yes.
Huh?
They announced their tour dates and their stops and everything.
Oh, is it there? Because when I looked, it wasn't there yet. Okay, perfect. So
I have Tableau's post notifications on.
Okay, actually, if we found that, we need to get some tickets, girl. You and me. Let's get it done.
Oh, yes, please. I love
it. Get it done. Oh my gosh. Okay, so our next show, we are actually going to be focusing on Beautiful because we have V's birthday. Aw, Wildflower. Oh, I love Wildflower so much. As you well know, because I can just sit here and talk about it all day. I really have the hardest time watching the video because
I haven't watched it again since the first time because I
feel so bad because we're supposed to be streaming, but it's quite painful.
I've been streaming the album. I listened to
the album. I do turn on the video. I don't always watch it simply because it's so emotional, especially when Namjoon's on the stage. It's really, I have to catch my breath because it's so difficult to have the flashbacks to everything that they've been through that it's like, okay. And the flowers turning into the
army bombs.
The army bombs is just he and then he tells us
it gave me chills.
How purposeful it was to have done. Okay, sorry, we've gone on to the music videos. I apologize. Okay, so last month, so we should be coming to you in a couple weeks for sure with V's birthday, correct? And we're going to talk about
our winter bear.
Our winter bear. Wow, our artistic fairy. I have a lot of close connections. Tata's with me all the time, actually, when I travel. There's so much about V that I just enjoy um, discovering about myself, as strange as that may sound, but it's the truth because I connect a lot to his understanding of angels, and those conversations.
His
And
angel when he plays rock paper scissors.
he's like,
He's like, he always wins.
and he always wins. And he gets it right because he's like, my angels.
He's like, hold on, I need to talk to my angel. Okay.
He's just the best. There's not one thing about V for all of these years that I haven't been able to go, I get why. And I know when Angela will be on that conversation, it has a lot to do with the educational system and how all 7 of the boys, obviously have 7 completely different learning styles. And it's something that I think we're going to talk about. I may tap into a little when it comes time to talk about V and Beautiful and why he went with the Bridgerton and legacy look. So, oh yeah, no, we're all OT7, my love. We're all totally.
You gotta love them all or get out of here. I'm sorry. Kay said it himself. Please love all 7.
All 7, exactly. No, we're all 100% OT7. We all have one. Everybody, there's a connection point. Oh, yeah, exactly. All right, my loves. I know we want to keep going, but I gotta go. It is time for us to end, and we will come back to you in a couple of weeks with our Beautiful. And we are going to do a second ment for Indigo. We're going to parse out the Wildflower more. We're going to work probably on one more song, but I also think we're going to work more on the music videos because we wanted to deep dive into that conversation. And we are then going to be having another show, whether it's Twitter Space or here, where we're going to kind of talk a little bit about what Living Punktan 7 is about and what it means to be, how the dynamic of being Army, and just, have a chat so that we can kind of get to know everyone and everyone can get to know us better. And hopefully then we'll have more people on the team. You're so welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And so much love to all of you. Today we didn't do a giveaway. I think you were talking about it. Are we holding it for the next one?
I posted one on Twitter. And we'll just roll it over to the next show because I know I did it like 30 minutes before we went live, but I'll roll it to the next show. We're giving away Indigo on Twitter. Yes, one of the many copies that I have.
Yes, we're going to be giving away an Indigo. Absolutely. Just keep up with us and answer those questions, and we'll let you know. If you keep up with the Twitter at Living Punktan 7, then you'll be able to see what you need for that giveaway. So also, if you help us to bring in more viewers and to subscribers, especially, Marianne and Tata and the few people who've been with us this long, you guys are our OG. So just help us to build up the viewership and stuff, and we got your back, okay? And Tata, your gift should be coming sometime, hopefully this week. All right, love you guys.
Bye.
AFBF.
Bye, thank you.
Stream Indigo. Lots and lots and lots of it. Okay.
Watch Wildflower, even if it hurts.
Thank you guys so much. We're so happy to see you. Love you too. Bye, guys.
My hearts.
Love hearts.